Good morning, everyone. It's Andrew, the Urban Bayman. Emphasis, I'm not even going to go there this morning, but this is my second recording. Man, I got a wicked one going, and it's beautiful, and I was just about finished, and Lord suffering if I didn't run out of memory on this bloody phone. But anyway, regardless, this morning I'm looking at lichens. And I'm thinking about lichens for a bunch of different reasons. I recently read one of Hein's books. Heinz was a geologist he was born in England, he emigrated to Canada, and he arrived in Newfoundland in the mid-1800s and spent a fair bit of time in Labrador and wrote a beautiful book. And in that book, he's a great botanist, right? A naturalist. I'm amazed actually at how good an understanding they had of how the earth is formed, about glaciation and the likes of that. And one of the things that he talks about is the lichens. And lately I've been doing presentations for children in Ontario. They're Newfoundland presentations. And one of the things that I've come to appreciate in that very, very short span is that children they're afraid. And we've done a really effective job of scaring them, frightening them, right? Whether it's climate change, changing the name to climate crisis. And guys, listen, let's not kid ourselves, right? The back room and the Grossmore and the interpretation center in Grossmore Park on the outside. Look, I've grown up. It started out with, oh my God, it was global warming. It was peak oil. It was climate change. Now it's climate crisis. I mean, we understand that we have to take better care of our environment. And as far as children are concerned, right, they have to understand and appreciate our ability to develop technology, our ability, look, most importantly, right, is the fact that everything is going to be all right. Yes, it's important for us to look after our immediate environment, to make certain that we're not littering, right, to try and get some controls over our emissions and the likes of that. But to think and to try to express that the world is ending, when there is so much that children need to understand, whether it's our advancements in technology, our ability to overcome, right? Let's not kid ourselves. We talk about emissions, guys. My car today is a heck of a lot more efficient than what my 78 Impala was, right? Technology. Not only technology, but as I'm about to point out with the lichens, and this is a new slide that I've just introduced into my presentation for the children, it's how nature looks after herself, right? I mean, it's amazing. These lichens, they're not plants, by the way. I was amazed to read that, right? Gene Flynn, I love Gene. Gene says, an algae met a fungi, and they took a lichen. By the way, I hope you're not concerned about this knife. This is for the purposes of not gone crocodile Dundee. This not a knife. Excuse me. An algae met a fungi, and they took a lichen. A lichen is not a plant, right? In the sense that it doesn't have root system. It does photosynthesize. The beauty of the lichen, I mean, you wonder how, right? One of the things that I point out to the children, the first slide that I put up is a slide of the Tableland Mountains and an explanation as to how Newfoundland is the southernmost extreme location of the Canadian Shield. And the Canadian Shield is a part of North America that was completely covered in ice during the last ice age. You talk about climate change. Think about that, right? Our Earth cooled, right, to such a great extent that the entire northern extreme of Canada, and when I say the northern extreme, I mean, we're not talking about the Arctic, right? Northern Ontario, places like that. This is how far the glacial ice covered. Like Greenland today, covered in ice. Newfoundland is the southernmost extension. And yet Newfoundland, I mean, it's the reason we talk about having 14 indigenous species of mammals. We talk about not having any fresh fish. The glaciers took it all. And yet, in the very short period, in the last 10, 12,000 years, arguably, this earth has recovered. The first thing that you have to remember, like, and again, when it comes to frightening children, the ocean levels didn't rise. The earth rebounded. Right, in Newfoundland, you'll see sea stacks, Trout River, sea stacks, way above the beachfront, way above the sea level, on account of the fact that the earth has risen and continues to rise once it was unburdened, right? That ice was so heavy, was so thick. The other thing, of course, is the simple structure of life. And though this is not, and I'm looking at this thing, though this is not a plant, right? The rivers are running. They erode into the soils, right? That creates, it breaks down the rocks, right? The soils are all gone with the last period of glaciation. That's what makes the Grand Banks. That's why we have such lucrative fishing grounds. We don't have the nice loamy soils like they do in southern Ontario. That's where all their soil, everything that was scraped off of Canada, ends up in Minnesota. It ends up in Ontario, right? Those beautiful soils. That's glacial activity. In Newfoundland, it ends up out in the ocean. That's our Grand Banks. And don't get me wrong, that's why we have such a great fishery out there, right? There is a forest, right? And you talk about a rainforest. There is a forest of plant life on the Grand Banks of Newfoundland, a place where fish can breed and thrive and survive and feed and protect their young and escape predation. I mean, look, it's a circle of light. It's continuously flowing. But on the land here, right, the rivers certainly create are responsible for a lot of the erosion, responsible for creating a lot of soils, mineral soils. So's the ice, right? The freeze and the thaw. But these lichens, you see this right here? According to Hines, and it was the first time I've ever seen it, and when I read it this week, it was beautiful. You lift underneath this and you'll see how it, I hope I'm not going to get in trouble for lifting this because these might even be protected now, who knows. But you'll see underneath here, see the sand, see where it's breaking up. Look. Breaking up the rock. I mean, look, guys, again, you gotta get, when you're thinking about geology, in one way you have to expand your head to such an enormous size to be able to handle the time frame. And at the same time, you have to be able to bring it down to such a minuscule level so that you can appreciate the fact that this little plant creates these sand particles right here. And that becomes the foundation for soils. When you add that in with, look, there's last year's plant life. Right? Look at all the leaves that are underneath the trees here. That again starts to decay. It becomes a part of this mineral composition, and over years and years and years and years and years and years and years, it starts to create soils. Plants grow bigger, they grow stronger. Eventually you end up with forest lands, and you end up with a much healthier environment. It's important to teach our children, obviously. But please, when we're doing this, one of the things that I would ask, and again, what do I know? But one of the things that I've observed, I see it in my own children. When we never even grew up, we never even knew what the word anxiety was when we grew up. And now we have children, you're wondering why they have anxiety? Because we're putting the word in their head. And we're scaring them half to death. Still carrying on about Santa Claus, right? And at the same time, we won't address or won't allow ourselves to speak truthfully about what's really going on in the world. Because look, yeah, the climate is changing. It has been forever and a day, right? Todd, can you imagine a world without dinosaurs? Right? I mean, and let's not kid ourselves. That's a meteor, right? And the meteor couldn't have that kind of. We have volcanic, guys. When you come to Newfoundland, you get a real perspective on what's going on with the environment. Like, we're going to start seeing glaciers here icebergs here any day, with great big thick chunks, lines of black, streaks of black through the middle. That's volcanic ash, right? Most likely what caused the last ice age, right? It wasn't the meteor, right? The meteor didn't cause that. It had all sorts of other repercussions. That band of black is carbonate soot, right? It's refuse. It's an expulsion from the volcanoes. That carbon, then the snow falls on top, and then it gets packed down. It forms this thick black band, right? We're going to see evidence of that, right? The climate has been changing. Look at the rocks on the other side of Signal Hill. Look, the rocks are upright, right? Sedimentary rock, laid out flat, are standing upright in Signal Hill and all throughout Newfoundland, right? Because our continents are moving, right? Our climate is obviously changing. If your continent is moving, changing all the time, right? How we address that, how we deal with that, how we reduce our own impact, right? Because one of the things that I fear when it comes to trying to control a climate is that we forget about our environment, right? We're doing so much damage to our environment. Recycling, right? Imagine the carbon footprint trying to get our recycled materials to Ontario somewhere where they hide them, right? Imagine the carbon footprint, right, that's associated with a diesel engine, beautiful new diesel engines, choked out with these new DEF systems to, again, create or to achieve some illusionary, unattainable goal that's established by climate change. We're destroying our environment and, more importantly, or certainly doing more harm to our children and to the people that don't understand the difference. Because I know this is a bit babbly. I hope you appreciate our lichens and algae metafungi. This one's for you, Gene. And you'll think a little bit differently when you look at the environment and you get outside. I'm the Urban Bayman. Please subscribe to our channel. I hope you enjoyed this. And look forward to seeing more. Bye.